The Senate Agriculture Committee will hold a hearing today focused on how the federal government can get a clearer view into the cryptocurrency industry and prevent future incidents like the FTX blowup. Meanwhile, disgraced financier Sam Bankman-Fried is making the rounds on mainstream media in an apparent mea culpa media tour. Let's watch some of his appearance at the New York Times' Deal Book Summit yesterday.
One of the letters I got, I want to read to you, Sam, because it's from a gentleman who said that he lost his life savings. And the subject line is, Sam Bankman-Fried stole $2 million from me. It says, Andrew, can you please ask SBF why he decided to steal my life savings and the $10 billion more from customers to give to his hedge fund, Alameda? Can you ask him why his hedge fund was leveraging long all of these S coins? I'm going to keep it polite for the kids. Please ask him if he thinks what happened was fraud. These are the kinds of letters that I've been getting repeatedly over the past several days. What do you tell this man?
Yeah. I mean, I'm deeply sorry about what happened.
So I watched just a little bit of this last night, and I think I had the question that a lot of people had, and we've discussed on this show. Why would he submit to this? Where are his lawyers? I saw a lot of people online joking, oh, there's some Paul Weiss attorney in the wings waiting to rip him off camera any second now, because it just seems like so unwise. And the point you made yesterday was that he seems like the type of person who is just so hubristic and believes in his own mythology so much that he thinks that he's too careful for that. He won't.
Yes, I think he's genuine. I mean, you hate to try to diagnose someone's mental disorder remotely on TV, but I think he's genuinely psychotic. I think
Robby, that's a strong statement. Why do you say that?
It comes the more of interviews I watch, like he has such a delusional sense of self and what he was doing, and he was well aware. I believe he was well aware of how fraudulent and how wrong this was all the way along. And now he keeps talking about it. And you're right. The smartest thing he could do would be to shut up. He should shut up, legally speaking.
Always.
He should not talk anymore. It is so clear. You should not talk. If you're under a criminal threat, you don't speak. Like, the whole you have the right to remain silent, it's an important right, because anything you say can and will be used against you, but it can't be used for you, by the way. Yeah. People, I mean, you know this because you're an attorney and you have legal training. This is like the first, most basic thing to learn, is that you can't talk yourself out of being arrested. You can never persuade if the law enforcement has some interest in you, thinking about bringing charges against you because they have some indication that you might have done something wrong, you're not going to convince them otherwise. If you genuinely have something important to say, you should tell your lawyer, and they'll relay it to them in a way that doesn't get you in further trouble. That's the way to do it. You can't, even if you said something to them that would acquit you, that was so good for your case, at trial, you cannot have the police called to say what you said to them. That's hearsay. They won't do it.
It depends. If you make a statement that's like the kind of exclamation that is considered, I forget what it's called now, but an exclamation that's considered to be made in the heat of the moment, like, stop, it's a green light. That kind of a statement at the time can be admitted under one of the evidentiary rules. Very proud of myself for remembering that one. But generally speaking, yes, you're correct.
So it's just wild that he keeps...
Or if there's a statement against interest, they can admit stuff that you said that inculpates yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that 100%.
Yeah.
So it's a very bad idea to keep doing this, but he just has this view of himself as so... he doesn't really think... I don't know, it doesn't come across that he thinks he did it... Like, he hates how it turned out, but he would have, I think he would have done it the same way. Like, he thinks it was worth doing, and it just didn't work out.
My impression of watching just a little bit of it was that he seemed to be genuinely, and maybe not genuinely, maybe it's not on the act, or maybe he is delusional, but he seemed to believe that what he was doing was on some level appropriate or justifiable. So when he was being asked questions about, were you concerned that that you were basically using Alameda to borrow, borrow money, and that there weren't, there could be a run on the bank scenario, you didn't have the protections in place. And he said, well, I knew we were a little overexposed, but I just didn't think it was that bad. And we didn't anticipate that there was going to be, this incident with the other competitive firm and that there was going to be this round of the bank. So he's like, well, I didn't do anything. He's like, and when there were follow-up questions about but don't you think that that's fraud? Don't you think that that was wrong of you to do? He's like, well, no, he saw it as like him making a miscalculation almost.
Yes.
Not like he was trying to get away with something that was obviously bad business judgment.
Yes, that was theft, which he's going to be, I don't know, but I have to imagine the end of the story, there's a high likelihood of him facing prison time for this. So it's crazy that he just keeps doing these interviews.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's part of his defense that he thinks that if he is delusional or something, that he thinks that is somehow going to
that's not going to work.
Weigh in his favor.
That is definitely not going to weigh in his favor.
But also there is this. When I was watching it, it was so disorienting that I wondered at one point. I mean, maybe he knows something that I don't know. Maybe he actually has covered his bases. Maybe he actually knows where his points of exposure are, because why on earth would you put yourself in this situation? And I also wondered how compelling it might seem to viewers. And maybe he's still hoping to get the public on his side, because there is something to be said for the idea that if you are willing to testify, you're innocent. It's obviously not true. Many criminal defense attorneys will tell you, for the reasons that we talked about before, that oftentimes it's taking the stand is just a dangerous principle on face value, and that you shouldn't do it regardless of your
Although we had a
guilt.
couple examples recently of it working. It worked to Kyle Rittenhouse's favor. It worked to did Johnny Depp end up taking the stand? I feel like there was another example.
I don't remember.
Anyway,
his
there was another
partner
person
did.
right around there.
But there is. I think I wonder if it will make the public more inclined to believe him, and the corporate media to continue to treat him more gently than it might otherwise if he continues to make himself available.
Right. He's used to playing the media like a fiddle, and that's not going to happen anymore, because they're gathering that he was not the person that he was presented to, that he presented them, that he presented himself to. And also, he's not going to. So look, I understand. You've probably been in this situation before. I have as well, where you've gotten yourself in a social media tizzy, where you've said something that got.
Never. All my tweets are perfect. They're perfect tweets.
You did a bad tweet, and you're getting piled on, and everyone's attacking you, and you probably, like me, and like Sam Bankman-Fried, and like a lot of other people who speak professionally for a living, and think of ourselves as persuasive. Well, we can fix this by talking more. I'll explain what they're getting wrong. I'll engage with this criticism, and I'll fix but that never works in the social media pile-on type situation.
Yeah, well, look, I think that
you should just stop talking and walk away.
Generally speaking, yes, I do think that sometimes when you're misunderstood, it's good to have like the one tweet that sets the record straight, and then you leave.
Then
you can't debate people. Just make sure that what you mean is out there, and then walk away. And there's something to that. I mean, maybe Sam Bankman-Fried feels like, look, there are a lot of people who don't know a lot about FX, us include Bitcoin and all this FTX. And even when the gentleman was questioning him, there were moments where SBF's responses were like, what do you mean? That's not how it works. And as a viewer who doesn't know how any of it works, there's an inclination to want to believe that, maybe we've gotten it wrong. Maybe at least the interviewer has gotten it wrong. Maybe SBF does have a level of expertise that we just don't all have. And I think there is, especially among elites, an instinct to believe people with credentials and who seem to have specialized knowledge. And I wonder if that's, one, an effective rhetorical strategy and media strategy for him, and two, maybe there's a bit of truth in the fact that because of how obscure this field is, he is actually able to maintain more control in these interviews than the average person. However, ultimately in a lawsuit, the people who are combing through these interviews and these documents are going to be as expert as experts can be, and that's what he needs to be worried about.
Yes, he does.
Don't give all these bonus depositions.
Amazing. Well, that's it for us. So you can catch us next week for more high-level news analysis. And also, you may have noticed our music got an upgrade. How about that, Briahna? We did not notice because they don't play it for us. So we're going to have to go back and listen.
I'm looking forward to it.
Neoliberal Tears commented at the top of the show, what happened to my music? One of my favorite commenters.
Yeah, big
Someone
fan.
who has so much affection for me, really.
He's one of mine.
We'll explain our license with our former music library ran out, but we now have new custom-made music to showcase.
That's
We're going to go
very
check
cool,
that out. We're going
yeah.
to check that out this second, I think.
Jam session after we wrap. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, we're now available anywhere you listen to podcasts. And you can also watch us on Roku and other streaming services. All right, take care.
See you later.